Representative SANDACK.
Good morning, Scott. Nice to see you.
How are you?
A couple things. You mentioned in your testimony that you thought it would be prudent for us as a commission to speak with the prosecutors to get an idea so we could work together. Yes?
Yes.
And you know, because you were probably at the prosecutor's office at the time, in the Blagojevich instance, that was a perfect example of different tribunals working in parallel ways in different instances, but working together and cooperatively.
At which point in times?
Well, there was an impeachment process along the same time as there was a prosecution over at your old building on Dearborn, right?
Right, but the reason that I'm asking that question is because during the grand jury phase of that investigation, my understanding was that the General Assembly was not involved. When the charges were made public and it became, we now have a sitting governor who's been arrested and later indicted, that the bodies were able to work it out. And my understanding is, and correct me if I'm wrong because I wasn't a member of the General Assembly, was that conversations outside of public forums like this were had between the U.S. Attorney's Office and members of the General Assembly, and they worked it out.
That's exactly right, Scott. In both instances, in that instance and in the Derek Smith instance, it was the federal government actually leading the charge. There was an indictment or an arrest that brought those federal charges, and then there were parallel but distinct state processes with respect to impeachment and removal. And there was conversation, so you're right, and I think that was your point. Would it surprise you to know that there have been conversations with the U.S. Attorney, Mr. Lewis?
It would be somewhat surprising to me, but I don't know if there's been a conversation since this letter was written.
What letter?
There's a letter that came from Mr. Lewis yesterday.
Yeah, that came at 4:30 yesterday. So that was actually to Senator Oberweis's point. At what time were you invited to testify today? Because that letter came at 4:30. So were you already going to be here because of the DOJ letter?
I was asked after the DOJ letter. I made a commitment to be here after I saw the U.S. Attorney's letter.
By whom were you asked, Scott?
By who was I asked? I already testified. It was Will Cousineau.
Cousineau, who is not, as I understand it, anywhere affiliated with the Legislative Audit Commission. Do you know if he has a position on staff with Mr. Holland's office?
I don't.
Do you see him here today, right here?
I do.
Yeah. Where is he?
Mr.
Where is he? You point him out, please.
He's standing back there in the corner.
Yeah, he works for the Speaker, right?
I believe so.
And you're a member of the Speaker's caucus, isn't that correct?
I'm a Democrat.
Okay, and you spoke to Democrats on this commission